live stream. It's a glorious Sunday morning here near Taupo in New Zealand. It's a bit early though, to be fair. I couldn't sleep, so I had to get up. I'm back. I've been on a trip up to Auckland. Left, when was it? Thursday afternoon. Thursday morning, about 11 o'clock left, and didn't get back till yesterday Saturday lunchtime. It was our Christmas party, yes, on Waiheke Island, I might add. The winery, it's very nice. Right, let me get logged in and see who's in the workshop with me. Boom, there we go, look. Okay, almost there. I checked the internet this morning. We've got about 300 megabytes a second. Almost there. Oh, hang on. I checked the internet this morning. We've got about 3. Volume, Andy. There we go. We have Roger Heaps. Good morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, Roger. First one in the workshop. And Roger sent me a video. Are you ready? The puppies are getting bigger. They are outside exploring the world. Very nice, Roger. Thank you very much. The answer is still no. We're not having one. They might look small in the picture, right, but they're going to get a lot bigger than that. Purple Monkey, 1974. Hi, everyone. Good morning, Purple Monkey. Welcome back, matey. Wade Mayer. Howdy, Andy and crew. Good morning, Wade. Welcome back to the workshop, sir. The Giants. Good evening, Andy and crew. Hope you're all doing well. Yes, not bad. It's been obviously, been on a little excursion, which is no doubt, as you well know, will have involved some alcohol. Clearly couldn't drive home on Friday night. That was going to be a no-no. So I stayed over in the city. East Tamaki, right? Not the city. I didn't go to the city. I got invited to go to the city for more alcohol, and no, it wasn't going to happen. I'm saving myself, right, for next year, St. Patrick's Day. I'm going to resurrect. Mrs. Mechanic doesn't know this yet. I'm going to resurrect Saving the World 12 pints before midnight. Okay, it's a little competition that I used to run when I was at Unitec. Each year, St. Patrick's Day, and basically, in fact, the last one we all dressed as superheroes, which was Ben's idea. But anyway, not to worry. That was a bit different. Dropped in the city, Auckland City. Obviously, St. Patrick's Day. Many of the pubs have got all the St. Patrick's Day bunting and stuff, and you can only frequent pubs that have got the St. Patrick's bunting, right? So that's the criteria. Means a bit of walking sometimes, but you've got to get into 12 pubs. You start at noon, so you've got all day to do it, right? You start at noon, and you've got to have a full pint at every pub before the strike of midnight to save the world. And you do it as a group, and we're there to support each other. Get it down here. We've got to get to the next pub, and it's usually quite a good event. So just food for thought. You might want to do that in your country. Good fun, actually. It's a purpose. It gives the drinking, a real purpose. You're on a mission, and the world is depending on you. It's important. Okay, where do we get to? Okay. Oh my word, who's that? My eyesight is crap this morning. BRM Electric. I'm in. Hello, everyone. Well, good morning, BRM Electric. Welcome to the workshop, sir. I wish the text was bigger. Honestly, it's terrible this morning. Oh, hang on. No, we don't want to do a window install. Thank you very much, Windows. Bad timing. Roger Heaps. They're getting on to holy 6 kgs. I think the last time we had a live stream, there were 3 kg. They've doubled in weight since the last live stream. That is absolutely ridiculous. JJ, morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, JJ. Welcome back, matey. Ooh, we've got one more. Ooh, drum roll. Are you ready? Jim Haynes, good morning, Jim. Welcome back, sir. Apologies I got your birthday wrong, my fault. On the road, driving back from the Indy PRI trade show for racing. Wow, that'd be a cool show to go to. I bet there's all sorts of gizmos and gadgets and cool stuff at those kind of shows. We don't really have much of that kind of stuff here in New Zealand, to be fair. I mean, we have a motorcycle show once a year at the what was, might still be the ASB showground. ASB is a bank in Auckland, and the turnout each year, it's not great, to be honest. It really isn't. But I've been a few times. It's been all right, but it's sort of it's not like going to the NEC to go to the motorcycle show in the UK. Very different, but they do the best. We're only a little country, you know. Not that many good bikes around. Roger Heaps, we have Crate Day in New Zealand. Yes, Ben does Crate Day. Drink 12 big bottles between 12 noon and 12 midnight. Was last weekend, big bottles of 750ml of beer. I've done that. I haven't survived it yet. And to be honest, my tolerance to alcohol now is a lot less than what it used to be. I don't actually drink that much volume on a regular basis. So when I do, man, it knocks me sideways. It really does. Ben might be able to manage that. I'll have to ask him when he's down next. But yes, Crate Day is a big event in New Zealand. But I wanted to do my own sort of twist on it. And I think it came from the Simon Pegg movie at World's End. It was some kind of mix of that and St. Patrick's Day that was in my head. And I thought, we could do this. And it all kicked off, if I remember correctly, with the students. Yes, students are a very bad influence. And the students and I came up with this idea of an excuse to hit the town. And what a night it was. That's all I can say. Jim Haynes. Snowing since Ohio. Well, it's not going to snow here. It's far too warm. In fact, yesterday, I got home about lunchtime. And it's sort of a little bit too late to open up the workshop. This is one of the problems, right? To open up the workshop, it's a concerted effort. You know, you've got to get all the bikes out, park them all up, clean up a little bit, and then set to. And I thought, no, tomorrow's going to be a grubby day. I've got to do a live stream anyway and clear the workshop out. Let's just do everything tomorrow. What can I do this afternoon that's going to be really productive and earn me some brownie points, right? So I thought, okay, no worries. About 9 years ago, we'd brought this ceiling fan from the UK, right? Beautiful fan, really nice, well made, from Germany. And it was in the bedroom, right? You know, and when we're in the UK, and we took it down and we thought, no, we're taking that with us. It was expensive. Anyway, 9 years ago, it finally came out of its box. We found it and I mounted it to the ceiling in the lounge. I thought, perfect, that'd be great. But never bothered to wire it up because it was I'll put it up on the ceiling. It's out of the way. It's safe. It's not going to get broken because it has a nice ornate sort of lampshade thing to it, a glass lampshade. I thought I'll have to go in the loft and do some wiring, right, to wire it up. Anyway, that never happened. And then yesterday I thought, oh man, you know, it's going to be getting warm again. We've got the aircon, but it's really noisy. And sometimes it's just not too hot to justify putting it on. And it wrecks movies because it's so noisy. So I thought, right, let's wire up the ceiling fan. But I didn't want to go in the loft because it's red hot in the loft at the moment. And it's full, absolutely, as are all the sheds, full of junk, okay? I'm surprised the house hasn't fallen down, to be honest. So we decided we'll do an external wire. It's only about a 3-foot length from one of the lamps in the lounge. There's 2 lamps. And this ceiling fan's equidistant between the 2 lamps off the ceiling, obviously. So I thought, right, no worries, I'll go find some nice white wire so it won't be too obvious. Couldn't find any white clips, only had black clips, so we've got black clips on it. But Mrs. Mechanic said, don't worry, I'm gonna paint the ceiling soon anyway, so they'll get painted white, it won't matter. So had to make a few modifications to the original lamp assembly, the mount, to get a wire out the side. That was easy, found a grommet. And then had to drill into the wooden block that I'd made to mount this ceiling fan and do a whole story thing and stuff, and it all worked out brilliantly. It took about 2 hours, I think, all up. with the modifications and just messing around trying to find all the bits and pieces. And we turned it on. And it didn't go bang, which is a great thing because some of the wiring was weird colours. It works perfectly. It's got forwards and reverse, so summer and winter setting. And on the lowest setting, it's more than adequate. You know, it made a big difference last night. Cooled the lounge down quite considerably. So massive win. Very functional, and obviously Mrs. Mechanic very happy. So that's what it's all about, isn't it? Happy wife, happy life. Important. Right, where do we get to? Roger. Yes, done that one. Jim Haynes. Yes, Snowy. Roger. But did you see anything about the 24-hour farm bike enduro just outside Gore yesterday? I saw some posts, very early on posts to the farm bike 24-hour endurance. And cards on the table. I was at a motorcycle shop in Gore, speaking to a gentleman called Porky, good friend of mine, and he asked if I could fly down and participate in that farm bike challenge. I've always wanted to do a farm bike challenge. Very much up for doing that. It would be great fun. You do it in teams, so you're not riding the bike on your own for 24 hours. That would be, you know, health and safety guy would get pretty upset. But I think you do the first few hours is 15-minute stints between you and your other 3 teammates. And then as it gets into the night, it's 1 hour stints through to whatever. And then I'm not sure whether it stays at 1 hour for the remainder of the challenge, or whether it drops back to 15-minute stints. I've no idea. Normally ends up in absolute carnage because everybody's getting real tired. They fall off the bikes and there's lots of breakdowns and stuff. But yes, would love to do it, but it clashed. I couldn't do it, right? I had my Christmas party and I had to go to that. It's very important. I often miss them. And I made a concerted effort this year to go because, you know, I don't see a lot of my work colleagues for months on end. You know, I'm not at head office that often. And obviously when we're taking a month off work and being down to the South Island, hadn't seen anybody for bloody ages. So it was good to go. It really was good catch up. So thank you, Roger. Yes, I don't know who won. I don't know what brand of bike won, which team won, should I say. But it's always a good thing. And I'll check it out. I'm sure Porky will send me the results and stuff. Or send me a link to where I can find out. And he'll say to me, you should have been there, Andy. You know, and I should have been there. I agree. And next time, it'll be good to try and tie it in. Maybe I can try and do it so that it's not a special trip. Find out when the next one's planned and try and be in the South Island around that time and be in that area for that weekend. And then that way I'm already there and I'm not flying and that kind of stuff. Because it gets expensive because work, obviously, you know, you couldn't ask work to pay for it. It's a jolly for me. I'd have to cover all the flight costs and stuff. The flight costs are not cheap. They really are. And the accommodation. So it gets expensive. And I'm still quite poor at the moment for some reason. Connor K. Morning, Connor. Welcome back to the workshop, sir. Connor says, morning, Andy and crew. Welcome back. Pete, 6102. Good day, Andy and crew. You're going to like the pie. It's turkey, duck, and chicken. Had that in a full size for Thanksgiving before here in the USA. I've never heard of, what is it again? Turducken. I don't know. I saw it yesterday and I thought, as I was driving back down from Auckland, I thought, well, that's one we haven't done. What is it? I mean, it must be quite difficult to market a pie that starts with the word turd. So I thought, well, we've had fish pie. It can't be any worse than that. But what did stagger me is the price, $7.50. I mean, it's a fair sized pie. It was definitely bigger. In fact, I took you a photo. It was definitely bigger than the other gourmet pies in the cabinet. So there you go, look. there's the pie in the cabinet just before I picked it up. In fact, that's actually the one after the one I picked up, the one that had slid down because I thought, oh, better take a picture, you know. So, cards on the table. That's not the actual pie. The actual pie is in here, and we'll get to that as soon as we finish the cigarette. So, the Christmas party, I know you want to hear all about it. It was great. It was good. It was hot. Ferry from Half Moon Bay, which is just south of Auckland City, so just north of East Tamaki. Took about 35 minutes, at a guess, on this kind of, what do you call it, a catamaran thing with 2 holes? It was pretty cool. Pretty quick and very stable. None of this sort of rocking going on like you get on a traditional ferry, like the ones to the South Island. They're a bit, you know, when it's rough seas, they're not good. There's loads of sick bags come out when that happens. But no, this was nice and stable. Got there, got on this little tiny bus, bounced our way for about 15 minutes over millions of speed bumps. Just saying, suspension on that bus is shot. Spent most of its time on the bump stops. Got to the winery, very nice, very posh, very, very busy. Obviously, lots of Christmas parties going on. You know, it's what they were doing this year. And I suppose most years, to be fair, because why not? Just don't go into the city because it's just chaos. Parking, all that kind of stuff, just a nightmare. So it was quite relaxed, but it was busy. Service was great. The team together managed to max out their tab behind the bar. So that got extended and then that got maxed out as well. So well done, group. Very impressed as always. It doesn't help that a pint was $14, may I add. You know, how expensive. Anyway, I wasn't paying. Food was pretty good, tasty, not a lot of volume, which was nice actually because I don't eat too much. But it was over pretty quick. We got there about 4:30, I would say, maybe 4:15, and we were out of there for 6:15 to get back to the ferry. So it was a very snapshot kind of a trip. Back to the ferry, and I was going to, like I said, I was going to go into the city, but my ute was at Half Moon Bay, so I'd have to rescue that because you can't park there overnight. Oh, what a ball ache. Got back to the digs and I thought, nah, I'm not getting an Uber into the city. That's going to cost a fair chunk of money this time of year. And then you got the drinks, right? Drinks this time of year, expensive. And then, you know, so I just bailed out. I just thought, nah, can't be doing it. Got to have an early start. Got to get home. Got shit to do, right? So, and not everybody went to the city. It was just, you know, a select group. It would have been nice to have gone, but I know exactly what would have happened. We'd have ended up in a strip club somewhere, and it would have cost a fortune. It would. Well, at least I would have hoped that I'd end up in a strip club. I mean, that is, you know, the end of a Christmas party, isn't it? It is in my book. I'm going to get into so much trouble. I really am. Where do we get to? There we go. Right, so the pie. One more puff and it's gone. There we go. Oh, cigarettes are going to go up again, I'm told, in January. Another 5 or 10% or something. God, it's going to get really expensive. Anyway, Wild Bean Cafe, as you already guessed. This is the Turducken Pie. There you go. This one is structurally compromised, so we'll see how that gets on the pie warmer. Boom, 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 boom. Base is absolutely rock solid. Top, bit of puff pastry, but not horrific, and lots of seasoning. So I'm going to unplug you because you've been on charge, because guess who forgot to charge his phone up last night? Boom, there we go. Right, we'll turn you around. 3, 2, 1, boom. Okay, here we go. Don't stand on the charging lead, Andy. Nearly did. Okay, there we go. Okay, to the pie warmer. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, there we go. That's pretty serious compromise on the structure there, isn't it? Anyway, we will see. It's been in the fridge, so 23 minutes should do the trick. Although it is a bit larger, isn't it? So maybe 23 and a half. There we go. Okay, Christmas is coming. As you all know, I'll have some time off work. Not a lot of time. My intention is finish the deck, because it's not finished yet, and get back onto Ben's engine stand. It's nearly finished, for God's sake, Andy. Get on with it. I know, I need to get on with it. So probably a couple of days work on there, bit of filming, and we should be good to go with that. Workshop's looking a bit of a mess, which, you know, rattles my bones, to be fair, because I like to have a nice tidy workshop. But anyway, not really had time to do that. Now, the pillar drill. Okay, so you're going to want an update, aren't you? Now, remember this pillar drill that we purchased to replace the one that the pulleys died on, and its brother, which Ben's got. And, well, you know that I also purchased a new lathe, new to me, right, from a college. And I know you're all waiting now. And a bandsaw. Okay, so 2 pillar drills, a lathe and a bandsaw. Total cost $1,500. Not bad price, Andy. Almost too good to be true, I hear you say. Well, I can't say too much at the moment because I think all I need to say is there is an ongoing investigation involving the police. So, just to reiterate, I am not in trouble. It's not me that the police are currently investigating. There is a possibility, although I hope it doesn't happen, there is a possibility said pillar drills may have to have a trip back to Auckland, together with all the little bits and pieces that came off the lathe. Luckily, I've just kept them all in the same box, so you know it's not hard to take them back. It won't happen till the new year, but yeah, it's not good. It's not looking good for a particular person. That's all I can say. But I won't say any more at the moment because I don't know how it's going to pan out. I sincerely hope that I continue with the purchase. Looking forward to having a nice new, very good condition lathe in the workshop. We'll be able to do lots more stuff on there. It'll be a lot quicker for the machining of those shock spacers and stuff that I make up and other bits and pieces. Plus it's got a bigger chuck, a bigger depth between the chuck center and the bed, so I can do bigger things. And of course it won't cut out. The thermal cutout on the old Boxford is still playing up. So yeah, I found a workaround, but it's just annoying, isn't it? So watch this space. I'm not going to say any more about it at the moment. It might take a while to come to a conclusion, where then I receive some direction of what I need to do or not do. You know, do I continue to pick up the lathe and the power hacksaw, or do I take the pillar drills back? I just don't know. Or it could be a mix of those. They may still need those, but the lathe might be surplus. We'll wait and see, right? We'll wait and see. It's in the hands of the superiors, authorities, other people. It's in the hands of other people. And I've already had an interview, done that, provided lots of written correspondence, you know, emails, texts, that kind of thing. So I am an innocent party. It's all been accepted. They're very happy with the assistance that I've given them. I don't think I'm going to get locked up behind bars. Read into it what you like. Okay. Purple Monkey, engine stand, finish off with a Christmas bow for Ben. Mrs. Mechanic, again, yesterday before I started the ceiling fan, she wanted to show me the new Workshop Diaries video, which is the video that's actually removing the engine from my Patrol. Very sad actually to watch. It's a feature length one. It's a bit longer than a normal Workshop Diaries, so that will be out before Christmas, so you'll get that for Christmas. But there probably won't be too many other videos, I don't think, going out, other than, oh, by the way, you've seen a spate of videos going on the channel about how to fill out forms. My sincere apologies. Those videos are not really for the regular viewers. and why would you watch them? I mean, quite a few people have watched them. I've tried to make them as short as I possibly can, but just contain the information that the people that they're intended for can view. I could have done them unlisted, but that requires me then to send links every time, and it becomes a bit of a ball ache. So I just put them on the channel. There you go. They're on the channel. If you need to see them, go find them. You know, it's easier that way. So my apologies for the notifications coming through of, you know, here's a new video of Andy filling out a form. It's not really, they weren't intended for public consumption, should I say. But, you know, there's a few views gone on, but not many. Also, about the YouTube channel. In the last week, and those of you that have got YouTube channels might be able to help me out a little bit here. I've seen, disturbingly, and this does happen every now and again on YouTube, they have what they call a purge on subscribers. So when you have like really inactive accounts, or, you know, the person hasn't been onto YouTube for ages and watched a video, they delete that profile, which then removes, if they're a subscriber to your channel, then it removes that subscriber from your subscriber count. And over the last sort of week, I've seen some significant drops in subscribers joining the channel, because obviously it's a calculation between the new ones that join and the ones that are removed is the end result. And it's been down to single figures, which is very disturbing indeed, because obviously I want to get to the 100,000 subs as soon as possible, really. So yeah, I was quite, you know, I was like, what's going on? You know, I mean, is it the form videos? And I've checked those, and they haven't lost any subscribers, which I was quite surprised about, but they haven't. I know whenever I do a live stream, we always lose 1 or 2 subs, which is really weird, but hey, it is what it is. I know there's a chunk, a large portion of their subscribers originally joined the channel to watch the Tool Girl videos, and why wouldn't you? I mean, that was the whole, you know, one of the reasons for doing that. But of course, there are no Tool Girls now, so they're naturally slowly tailing off, and we're getting more of a core content of viewers for repairs and that kind of stuff. So that's cool. You know, who knows? One day, maybe we'll get the Tool Girls back. We'll have to wait and see. I would very much like that. I would. Richard Perry, hi Andy and crew. GB badge, there you go, and a big thumbs up. Cheers, Richard. Welcome back to the workshop, matey. So it is the lead up to Christmas. We haven't got very long. I'm working all the way till the 24th. The 24th is only a half day, which is nice. Although it's classed as a full day for working, which is even better. It gives me a bonus half day off, which is great. But my logistics originally last week, next week, and the 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, is it, I think? 3 days before Christmas, were supposed to all be admin, right? Working from home, admin work, lots of reports to do, just to get everything tidied up before the end of the year, which is what I like to do, start the new year fresh. And originally I thought the Christmas party was just at a local pub, you know, 1 o'clock Friday, cool, a couple of hours at the pub, only have a pint, have lemonade for the rest of it, bit of food, and then drive home. That didn't happen. It turned out we went to Waiheke, which was great fun, but it meant I had to stay over in Auckland on the Friday night. So that took up a bit more work time. And now I have to go back to the South Island. Monday morning. Drive to Auckland, get on a plane, fly down to Queenstown, drive to Wanaka, do stuff for Tuesday, drive back to Queenstown, stay in Queenstown, and then I was supposed to fly back Wednesday morning. More stuff to do. So I have an online meeting that I've been requested to attend. I have to then delay my flight because I would have been on the plane at the time of the meeting. Can't attend a meeting on the plane. So I've got to delay that. So I'm not flying up back to Auckland until Wednesday afternoon. Too late to drive home. Stay in Auckland Wednesday night. Drive home Thursday morning-ish, maybe Thursday afternoon. So that's 4 days gone of admin time. That's a lot of admin time. Bolt that together with the previous 2 days from the previous week. And that's over a week of admin time just gone, you know. So I'm not going to get everything finished again this year. It's a real pain, it really is. But it's important. Okay, Christmas party is not that important, but I wanted to go, and I had the right to go. Um, the other stuff, bad timing, really bad timing, but it has to be done. I have to go, and I've already got it out. I'll be taking my Pico with me, and this laptop that the Pico software is installed on, and I've got to spend a whole day on a bike. Yes, be interesting. Be really interesting. And the motorcycle shop has never been able to replicate the fault. So that's what we're up against. It's not an easy one. But we'll see. We'll see what we find. Simon. Good morning, Simon. Just a quick drop in to say hi as we are out for a pre-Christmas meal. Have a good weekend, Andy and crew. Thank you, Simon. Sorry for interrupting your Christmas meal. Have a great time with the family, and no doubt we'll talk soon. And Merry Christmas, mate. Oh, that coffee's getting cold. It is. So I've got not a lot of time off work. I think it's Monday the 5th of January? Let's have a look. Monday the 5th. So I go back to work on Monday the 5th. I'm off between Christmas and New Year. That's a compulsory time off. You're not allowed to work during between, which is nice. I wouldn't anyway. Had just enough leave left to do that. Good planning, Andy. I know. Did a good job there. And then I'm back at work for a week and a bit, and then I've got another week off. So I'll be able to get more stuff done during that week. It's sort of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. I had to shuffle it across, push it back a couple of days because, again, of some of the meetings that came in that I have to be there. So I had to change my leave. A lot of changes going on at the moment. Really is. Update on Eloise's, my youngest daughter's little Suzuki Jimny that went for a bit of a swim in the South Island. The carpets have finally dried out. She's a bit happier. She hasn't hoovered them yet though, so they're still full of silt at the moment. So not a good look for a new car, but anyway. Our little Jimny, Poo Turtle, or as Mrs. Mechanic wrongly calls it Pootle. You know, I mean, come on, Poo Turtle. It's now 3 years old. Holy crap. Has 3 years gone that quickly, Andy? Yes, it has. 3 years since we bought that truck. So it now needs its first warrant of fitness. I think it expired a couple of days ago. I forgot all about it. Didn't realise. So next week, Mr. Mechanic's going to take that for a warrant. Hopefully it passes. Don't forget it's got all the lift kit stuff on. So it is under the limit, the maximum height. So it's below that. So it doesn't require a cert, they call it, like Ben's Patrol. Maybe they're going to find something loose on it. I mean, I've had a good look around. I can't find anything that's loose on the suspension, on the steering, that might be contributing towards that wibbly wobbly stuff at about 85 plus. I did drive Eloise's little Jimny, which is completely standard. And that tends to have a very similar kind of floaty feel to it, about 95 k's an hour standard. So as regards the floatiness, I'm not too fussed with that because that's inherent to the change of suspension and the larger tires, that kind of thing. But we've still got to get to the bottom of this and pulls you to one side of the road. It can pull you to the left or to the right. Seems to make no sense whatsoever. But I've not done a lot of work on that. I've not even plugged in the diagnostic tool that Simon sent me, the OBD2 reader, to see if there's any codes. We're going to flick it down for the service, for a service, and for the warrant. I don't think they'll do the service this side of Christmas. They'll be really busy. So service in January. And at the same time, I'll mention to them, it's doing this, people. Could you have a look at it, please? And those things come with loads of warranty time. So it should still be within warranty, fingers crossed. But it has been doing it for a while. So, it definitely started doing it within the warranty period. I mean, it's all documented. So, where do we get to? The Giant. Would you recommend buying a Jimny? Those little Suzuki Jimneys, the Gen 4s, and you know, even the old SJ410s and 413s, they were great little Jeeps, and they're very sought after these days. When they first came out, a few years after they started coming out, they were sort of laughed at, you know, by the four-wheel drive fraternity, you know, hairdressers' cars, they call them in England. Just a bit of a joke, not taken seriously as a true off-roader because they were so small and had little tiny engines and that kind of thing. However, over the last couple of decades and more, they came out early 80s, so 4 decades. Wow. They have become very highly respected in the four-wheel drive world, around the world, to be fair. A lot of them in the UK have rusted away. I mean, you know, I destroyed 327 of them. Not personally, but for parts. We broke them for spares to run the fleet. Customers modified them in a way that they couldn't be used anymore. Thank you, customers. That happened a few times, you know, but we got rid of lots. But now, because there's so few around in the UK and over in the States as well, very sought after. They all get jacked up and huge tyres put on and different engines and things. But very cool little Jeeps they are. The Gen 4s, Suzuki haven't let us down. They are a phenomenal little Jeep. A lot comfier than the earlier ones, being coil sprung now. Ergonomics inside the cab's a lot better. You're not smacking your elbow against the door like you do with the Land Rovers. More powerful engine, 1.5 I think it is, straight 4. Pretty torquey actually, goes well and has a second oomph of output higher up in the RPM as well. So when you're on the road, you can put your foot down and it actually goes all right for a little Jeep, a lot better than the old ones. And with the all track system, I think it's called, all grip system on there, as we've proved when we're out with Ben and when we're doing this, the trip with the monkey bike, towing the trailer, the adventure trailer. Man, it takes a lot of stopping as one of those little Jeeps. And when Eloise got stuck in hers, you know, again, that all grip system got us out of the pool, where a vehicle without that system on would have required recovery. So very impressed, actually. Very, very impressed. And yes, if you're looking at buying a small four-wheel drive, honestly, they're a brilliant little Jeep. They really are. Suzuki have sold every single one they've brought into New Zealand. For the first few years, there were never any discounts, never any deals on them. You never saw them on the adverts included in the 0% finance or anything like that, because they just sold themselves. Now the market's quieting down a little bit. They've sort of caught up with production. There is a bit of a surplus, and you can get them a little bit cheaper than the retail if you shop around. I think Ellie got a bit of a discount on hers. You know, but they're well worth it, and they hold their value. They really do. They're a great investment for a vehicle. Sure, you're not going to get your same money back, but I mean, I've seen the same year as ours, which would be a 22 model, 23, 22, I don't know, model, which we paid $32,500 for. We've spent some money on the lift kit and stuff, but I'm seeing them same year with a lift kit going for the retail price that you paid for the Jeep, 32.5. That's nothing. If all you're losing is the cost of the lift kit over those 3 years, man, that's nothing. Normally you don't get any extra for any accessories you fitted when you sell the car secondhand, normally, or traditionally, should I say. But in this particular case, it actually adds value to the little Jeeps because a lot of people want to do that to them anyway. So, wow. I've considered selling it. I don't want to sell it. If I was to sell it, I'd buy another new one. But it's got the lift kit on. You know, a standard one's not really that much use to us. So it's set up to how we want it. I'd like to fit a bull bar and a winch to it, a snorkel to it. I'm not too sure about a roof rack. Maybe a roof rack just to protect the roof a little bit. Ellie's got a roof rack on hers. She's got a nice awning on it as well, actually. Great ARB or side awning. Really cool. Good little Jeep, actually. So next year, 2026, I need to get that problem sorted out because it's winding me up. Connor K. I watched a couple of your form-filling videos. Thanks, Connor. Was troubled about the torque wrench. Give it a look, comment. I know it wasn't meant to be a shocker, but no requirement for calibration on older tools. Yeah, I mean, I've still got my video to do on being a new vehicle entry certifier. That's going to be quite an eye-opener for a lot of people. There's only one new vehicle entry certifier per brand imported into New Zealand, be it cars, bikes, it's cars, motorcycles, or trucks, I suppose. And some of the importers bring in a number of different brands, so there's going to be less than that as regards people that do that role here in New Zealand. And new people take on the role, people retire and leave. And I just want to do a video which really highlights to the general public the background of what's involved, but secondary to that, to try and inform anybody that's thinking of taking on the role what's actually involved, what they're actually being held responsible for, and also there's a personal risk, so that when they speak to their employer and say, okay, I'm prepared to take on this role, but this is the full picture, this is what I have to take on board, and as a result we need to talk money, because with risk comes reward. That's a basic principle with any job. The more responsibility, the more risk involved, the more you should be getting paid. And with a new vehicle entry certifier, the person that signs those vehicles off as being compliant to be used on a public road, let's face it, if they made a mistake, okay, worst case scenario, you make a mistake and the vehicle's put on the road, and let's say, I don't know, the brakes don't meet compliance, or the lighting or something, some safety thing, right? Doesn't meet compliance, and there's an accident and there's an investigation and you signed it off. The buck stops with the new vehicle entry certifier. NZTA have made that very, very clear. It doesn't stop necessarily with the importer, which is extremely worrying. So you need to make sure that the information that goes on those forms is 100% accurate. Otherwise, it may well come back and bite you. Also, there's a bigger problem. Let's say the form's been signed off, the vehicle's been sold. Let's say it's a little Suzuki Swift, for example. It won't be. This is just a fictitious example for the lawyers that are listening. It's a car, right? So it comes in, all gets signed off, the statement of compliance gets filed with the government, and now you've got to upload the statement of compliance at the time that you upload the VIN numbers of the vehicles that you're going to put on the road. So it has to exist. If the statement of compliance doesn't exist, you can't upload the VIN numbers, you can't sell the units. It's as simple as that. They've plugged that gap recently. In the past, you could, and that was a problem. So I'm very pleased that they've done that, because it gives us another fail-safe. But imagine, those cars, they go on the road, they keep selling them, they're quite popular, out the door they go. Lots of little Suzuki Swifts sold in New Zealand. And then after 3 years, the first one goes for its warrant of fitness. Goes on the brake tester, fails. Brakes are not powerful enough. Huh? What do you mean they're not powerful enough? They don't meet the standards. So then the importer has a problem, because every single day from that point on, there'll be correspondence, phone calls, emails from customers saying, hey, took my new Swift, 3-year-old Swift, for its first warrant, and it's failed because the brakes, maybe the handbrake's not good enough, for example. And the importer's like, what do we do? Panic, because they're facing a buyback. That vehicle's, and problems with the government, right? They've confirmed, the new vehicle entry certifier has confirmed the vehicle does meet compliance. Clearly it doesn't, and now there's 5,000 of these vehicles on the public road here in New Zealand. The only way forward, there's two options. There's three options. One is a modification to the vehicle, possible, maybe. The other one is to apply for an exemption against that particular compliance ruling. Unlikely, to be fair, under the circumstances, because handbrakes, they're important things. Or lastly, very expensive, a buyback, where the importer would need to buy back all of those 5,000. They'd have to do a stop sale immediately and have to buy back all the cars that have been previously sold and buy them back at the original sale price. You know, there's no like, oh, it's done 50,000 Ks, it's only worth half as much, we'll just pay you that. No, 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 no. Full value, right? So it gets really expensive really quick and it can be a major problem. So just rewind 3 years again, filling out that statement of compliance is absolutely critical that the information is 100% correct for a number of reasons. And the problem is the sales guys at Suzuki are going to be like, well, we've got all these cars that come off the ship. It's the new model. We want to get it out into market. We want to bump our sales up and get our bonuses this month. You know, push it through, push it through. Where's the statement of compliance? Get it done, get it done. You know, where the statement of compliance can be produced as soon as you've got a VIN number, right? For one of those cars, because you've got to put an example VIN on the statement of compliance, the chassis number, the VIN number we call it, 17 characters, digits, and that has to go on the form. Now, when you export vehicles from one country to another, and the Suzuki Swifts are not made in New Zealand, right? They're made in Japan or wherever it is they're made. They get put on a roll-on, roll-off ferry normally, a ship, not a ferry, a ship. Sorry, Connor. And the bill of lading or the documentation relating to the export has to list all the VIN numbers. So they are available at that point. And what normally happens and what should happen is that as soon as those VIN numbers become available, i.e. when the cars are loaded onto the ship, the new vehicle entry certifier is then like, okay, we need to make sure that they meet compliance. I mean, ideally, he should be brought on board before the cars are even ordered, right? Because there's no point in bringing hundreds of cars to New Zealand that don't meet compliance. It's pointless. What are you going to do with them? You can't sell them. So really, you know, right at the start, before the cars are even ordered from the factory to say, hey, we want this many for New Zealand, it should be checked that they're going to meet compliance before they come here, because there's quite a lot of cars around the world, those really cheap Indian cars and cheap Chinese cars that clearly do not meet compliance and cannot be road registered here in New Zealand. In fact, quite a lot of the very early little Larry the Carries didn't meet compliance, and they were only sold on farm as a farm vehicle. You couldn't register them for the road. It's a perfect example. You know, Larry the Carry is registered. Should he be? He is. No problems, has been since he was born or since he arrived in New Zealand. But there are other ones, same year, similar model, that don't meet compliance and they've never been registered. You know, another one, for a time, Suzuki brought in the Suzuki Samurai long wheelbase, and I've seen a few of these in the flesh on farms. It's got a 1.3, but it's fuel injected. So it's the original F13A engine, but it's got fuel injection rather than carburetor for obviously emission purposes. Built in India, I believe, because that's where they still build them over there. They still make them now, that shape. Oh, they did until recently. I'm pretty sure they still make them. I've forgotten what they call them over there, but there's still lots and lots of them around. And when that vehicle was brought into New Zealand, it didn't meet compliance, so it could only be sold on farm. In fact, I've got a contact down the South Island that's got one on his farm, and I've said, look, if you ever want to sell it, I'd love to buy it because it'd be great for some videos. Doesn't need to go on the road, but I can pull it apart, we can do some work on it. It'll have basically the same drivetrain and stuff as the ones that I used to build over in the UK. So another prime example. So yeah, you've got to get it right. It's really important. Otherwise, I mean, who knew there was a possibility that the guy that ordered those long wheelbase Samurais thought that he could sell them to go on the road. And it's only once the first batch turned up in New Zealand that they realized, oh shit, they don't meet compliance. Damn, what are we going to do? You know? And they come up with an alternative plan and market it as a farm vehicle. Right, the Pi has pinged. quickly catch up with the comments. Dum 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 dum. Oh, hang on. So thank you, Connor. We've gone down a rabbit hole there, but yes, torque wrenches. The sole purpose of a torque wrench, as I said in the video, is to torque a nut or a bolt or a fastener to a particular tightness. You know, apply a certain amount of torque, an accurate amount of torque. Hidden in the small print of that document that NZTA released, it says fit for purpose, right? Well, how can a torque wrench that isn't known to be accurate be fit for purpose? They've sort of contradicted themselves in their own document. It's most bizarre. I've challenged it 3 times in the last, well, since it came out, since I became aware of that document. And each and every time they just said, nah, document stands, document stands, document stands. But as far as manufacturers are concerned for PDI, of course the manufacturer is going to require the torque wrenches to be calibrated. So the risk to the public is significantly less, assuming all manufacturers require that, have that requirement and enforce that requirement. That's the key part to it. So the release of that document, all it's done is cause misunderstanding within the PDI world of New Zealand. You know, I get pushed back. Andy, our torque wrenches don't need to be calibrated anymore. Look, here's a document from NZTA. And I'm like, just tear it up. It's meaningless. It doesn't count. You know, they still need to be calibrated. Where's your calibration? Oh, we haven't had them done. You need to get them done. It's important. And on a broader picture, why wouldn't you? I mean, you're doing repairs to customers' vehicles every single day. Surely you want to cover your ass and make sure your torque wrenches are calibrated up. The last thing you want is a caliper falling off a customer's bike or a wheel off an RRV falling off and causing an injury to somebody. Because the first thing they're going to ask you in court is, can you show us your calibration certificate for the torque wrench? And you haven't got one. You're on the back foot immediately, aren't you? You know? Jim Haynes, any reason the Christmas message video you and the other YouTubers used to do stopped after a couple of years ago? I don't know. I was actually talking to Mrs. Mechanic about that when we were in the South Island driving around, and I said, oh, they haven't done that for a while. It was really cool to get all the automotive, you know, YouTube creators together to do a little short video like that. I really enjoyed being part of it and look forward to it each year. I don't know why it stopped. Keith DeFazio from New Level Auto sort of he front-footed that and got everybody together. Keith still makes videos. I watched one of his videos not too long ago, and Keith's been on the live streams. He's, you know, he was it last time around or the time before that? Maybe that's a question for Keith. Maybe he was just got too busy and he'd done his bit, and maybe he wanted to hand the gauntlet to somebody else to do. It's probably a bit late to get it organized this year now, to be fair. But maybe next year, maybe I can try and put the word out and try and get everybody together again, because it was really cool. It was really cool. Good point there, Jim. Thank you. Jim Haynes, are prices going up on tobacco? Another tax government deal? It is, yeah. The New Zealand government is still adamant they want to be smoke-free by 2028, I think it is. It's not too far away. It might be 2026. God, who knows? So the way that they're doing that is they've banned anybody from a certain birth date to be able to buy cigarettes until they're over 21, I think it is, or 25. It doesn't affect me, so I'm not really a favour with the ruling, but they brought a new rule in there. And then the second part is they just crank up the prices. Every few months, the price goes up and up and up and up. And somebody was telling me that there's another price hike due 1st of January. So more of the kids' inheritance is going to get spent on cigarettes. Sorry, kids. So there you go. Right, pie time. Let's go and grab the pie. 3, 2, 1, boom. Okay. Here we go. Ooh, has it opened up even more? I think it has opened up a bit more, hasn't it? Hello. I'm a turd pie. Okay, let's cool down enough to carry. There we go. We should be straight into this one. Should be good. Okay, boom. Right. So hopefully, you know, that little rant video that Andy had about the torque wrenches, not the forms one so much, but the torque wrench video at the start, the one that launched that whole little mini series. I had to get it off my chest before I made the form filling video on the equipment Master Records form, because otherwise I'd have gone off down a rabbit hole and included my rant in that video, and I didn't want it to be in there. Okay, so for those that have just joined, this is a Turducken Pie. I know, who would call a pie Turducken? Structurally, the base is good. The side, around the edge, that's really good. We've got a massive lift here. I'll start here, and hopefully it'll stay together. If I start this side, you see, by the time it gets to the middle, the lid's going to fall off. So that's no good. Pie management, right? And the top, very nice. Perfectly cooked, actually. Okay, I can see a bit of the inside stuff, the contents. Okay, this, like I said, something tasty. Hope so. This pie was $7.50. It's an expensive pie. That is the most expensive pie from Wild Bean Cafe at this point in time. Yeah. Okay, you ready? Here we go. Oh, very, very crispy. The pastry is quite dry. And you can see around here, it's been in the pie warmer. Not mine. I'm pretty sure this was before then, when it was at the BP. Looks like it's been in the pie warmer for quite a considerable period of time. Which tells me that potentially they're not selling that many of these. They're not in and out of the pie warmer pretty quick. They're standing around for a few hours, cooking a bit more. It is actually quite dry, is that pastry. Very crunchy. A lot drier than normal. I had a steak and cheese yesterday at the same time when I bought this one. And the pastry on that was much, much softer, much nicer to eat, to be fair. Contents are still very, very hot, so bear with me on this one, people. I have to do the blow technique. Okay. Wow, look at that. Big chunk of meat. It's going to be good on the meat, I reckon. Okay, so what have we got? Well, Structure 40 Partners, let's hold that in abeyance for a little bit. Taste, stroke, flavour, the contents, not the pastry, the contents. So what I'll try and fish out this big bit of chunk of meat and see what's going on. I have no idea what meat that was. It's either duck. What is it? I found another review on this pie that somebody did. A guy called Big Al's Food Reviews. He says, BP Wild Cafe Gourmet Turducken Pie with turkey, duck, and chicken. It's also supposed to have dried cranberries in it with a creamy spiced parmesan sauce. Sounds fantastic. He says, well, it was a good quality pie. I feel like the various meats tasted pretty similar, but the cranberries were plentiful and the sauce was pretty nice. So by the sounds of it, he liked it quite a lot. Overall solid pie with a moderate flaky pastry, decent size for $7.20. So he must have bought that one. When was that done? 16th of November. So the price of the pie has gone up by 30 cents since then. He gave it 7.3 out of 10, so 73%. But he's really only rating it just on the flavour of the pie and the contents. He's not including, like we do, all the logistics and all that kind of stuff, you know. Packaging, for example. It's pretty nice, actually. Once you get into the core, because the first bit of meat was quite dry, being right at the edge of the pie. But now we've got to the middle, it's or getting close to the middle, it's not too bad at all. And there's one of those cranberries that he was on about there. Look, you can see just down the bottom. It's quite crumbly. The pastry is too dry. Look at that. There's a big chunk of pastry fallen down from the lid. Lid's pretty much collapsed. Okay, one more. Wow. Huge chunk of meat was under that pastry. Absolutely monstrous. No idea whether it was duck or what else is in there, chicken or turkey. I just don't know, to be honest. They all, like Big Al says, they do seem to taste very similar. Although that one did taste a bit more rich, so maybe that was the duck. I don't know. Just taste obviously quite Christmassy, given the meats. There you go. I'm eating it quite quick because A, I'm hungry, and B, I don't think this pie would taste that good cold, to be fair. Okay, so I've had plenty of the contents. What do I think of the taste? I think it's pretty good, actually. I'm going to give it an 8 point. I can't do points, can I? Is it an 8 or is it a 9? No, I'll give it an 8 because the first bit was a bit dry. Okay, runnability test. Here we go. Something might fall out because it's still pretty hot. Okay, 45 degrees, 30 seconds. That's a good 45 degrees there, look. Oof. Is anything going to fall out? It might. I've got it over the bag, so we're not going to waste it, but that looks pretty good. Bit of pastry, but that's about it. Dare I shake it? Give it a little shake. It's pretty stable, actually. Okay, so it survived. A bit of pastry, we can cope with that. So runnability, it gets 10 for that. Passed. Meat quality, well, that actually's been really, really good. Apart from that dry bit, we've got another chunk just here. Look, we'll go for that. I mean, these are proper chunks of meat. None of this sort of, you know, mushed together stuff or little tiny pieces that you get in the cheap pies. And I would hope that this would have been the case given the cost of the pie, right? So the meat quality is actually really good. Really, really good. Better than you'd find in the gourmet steak and cheese, for example. This really is a premium pie. That's what they're aiming to produce. So, do I give them 10 for the meat quality? One more bite. Every mouthful is a big chunk of meat. It's really good, actually. Really, really good. I'm going to give them a 9, I think. I always think back to the Lake Farm pies that we did a few years ago, where you order them online, they turn up in like a cool bag with some ice blocks and stuff. The meat quality in those was absolutely amazing. They make their own pies. They have their own animals that they chop up and put in the pies, and the quality of the meat was just fantastic. This isn't to that level, so it can't be a 10. Pie to crust ratio. So this is the volume of filling versus the volume of pastry. And there's a reasonable chunk of pastry, to be fair, but it's a big pie and it's carrying a lot of weight in there. So it's got to have a bit of structure to it. You can't really avoid that. But when you look in these top corners here, there's a lot of pastry up there, and I think that's to try and glue the lid on properly and give it some kind of structure on that fold. Oh, pardon me. But, geez. Okay, remember that. Oh, 3. It's because it's so dry. That is it's quite difficult to eat without a drink. I have got a drink, but if you didn't have one, that would be serious dry throat issue going on there. Very, very dry. very crunchy. Okay, so wow, that was literally just a mouthful of dried pastry, bone dry. It's packed with meat. There's none of that stupid filler gravy stuff in there either. It's just meat, cranberries, and a bit of that Parmesan sauce. It's pretty good. I'm going to give them, I'll give them an 8 for that, I think. Okay, available logistics. These are available at all Wildbeing cafes that are part of the BP petrol stations. Not all BP petrol stations have Wildbeing cafes. Most of them do now. And I think ultimately they're hoping to get all of them on board with the Wildbeing cafe side of it. Long-term goal, because it is very successful. And I think it bumps the profit margin of the site up quite considerably. Coffees, decent coffees is one of the big sellers here in New Zealand. And convenience, pop into the petrol station, get some fuel and grab a nice coffee at the same time. It's got a big draw to it, so that if you've got good coffees, you're going to go there for your fuel as well, potentially. You can order these through Uber now, so Uber Eats they call it. You can send your Uber Eat guy off to the local BP to pick up one of your gourmet pies and a coffee if you so desire, and they'll deliver that to your house. It costs you a fortune, but they'll do it. So you can order them online, and you can also get them at any BP yourself, put in person. So it's got to score reasonably well, not quite as high as a supermarket, sale access, but still pretty high. I'm going to give it, I'll give it a 7, I think, for that. I'm trying to be consistent on other Wildbeing cafe pies, but there again, Uber Eats wasn't available on the earlier ones that we rated, so it is what it is. Now, pastry taste rating. This is where it's going to come down. I'm going to go for some of the worst stuff. We've got another big chunk here, which is extremely dry. Look at the size, the cross section of that is just monstrous. So we're going in. Very, very, a bit of a shame, really. Oops. Okay. So that's what happens when you're not concentrating. We've got some filling fallout. We won't waste it. It's going to get eaten. So, runnability. We'd entered a big void, or a big area of the sauce, the Parmesan sauce, and it just flowed out of the pie. So, runnability, I'm going to knock it down to 9. I don't think we've ever changed a runnability score post-test, but I think that caught me unaware completely, and as it would do in a real world scenario, to be honest. Okay, I've stabilized the pie. I implemented pie management systems there, so we're all good. Okay, so pastry taste rating. It was super dry. I'm actually going to give it a 4, maybe even a 3. No, I'm going to give it a 3. It's actually pretty poor. It is so dry, it's unreal. I had to hold the pie with both hands to keep this piece from falling off. It would have fallen off otherwise. Okay. Oh, can't do this on camera. Bear with me. Okay. I've just eaten the bit that fell out. Now, packaging design. Basic paper bag. It is branded. It's printed. But it's cheap, right? It's a cheap way of doing it. It's not in a nice cardboard box or a little clear film so you can see the pie. A bit like the I Love Pies ones. The packaging is amazing on those. But whatever you spend on the packaging, you're not spending on the contents of the pie. So, it's give and take, isn't it? So packaging design, 5. I think straight down the middle for that one. Recyclable score. It's only paper. It's not plastic lined, so it is recyclable. They don't tell us. They still don't tell us it's recyclable. So they lose a point for that. So they get 9 for that one. Okay, that's 4 burps. This thing's pretty aggressive on the old stomach, to be fair. Not too sure why. It's not the kind of pie, certainly once you get to about halfway, where you can just go to one location of the pie and take a bite and then move away. I'm finding with this particular pie that the contents are oozing around, and you've got to take your first bite and then nibble your way across the rest of the pie to try and tidy it up before you move back. Otherwise, you risk losing content. There you go. Look, you can see there's a lot of filling to it, though. It's really good, and that could be one of the reasons why that's happening. I think the other reason is the fact that the pastry is so hard and offers so much resistance when you try to bite it that it squishes the pie and it's forcing the contents out. So another side effect of pastry that's just too hard. Right, post pie heartburn. We've lost 4, right? So we're down to 6. Stuffability score. Can't do that one yet. Pie server attractiveness. Just thinking back. Mid-30s. Quite bubbly, you know. Hi, can I help you? You know, what have you got in the bag? All that kind of stuff. Wellbeing Cafe in general as a setting to eat your pie isn't a bad spot, to be fair. Okay, yeah, they've got some tables and chairs and stuff, but I usually just stand there's like a bench where you would normally put your sugar and stuff in your coffee and things, and there's a bin there. It's not too bad. Could be better. You know, there are better environments. It's probably one of the best environments for a petrol station. It's definitely the best petrol station environment here in New Zealand are the Wild Bean cafes. I've been to Zed and other brands of petrol stations, and they are nowhere near as inviting as the BP. They're just a bit of lackluster, I think, is probably the way of putting it, if that's still a word. So I'll give her a 7. I'll give her a 7. She did a good job. Okay, right. So structure Foley Partners, it's not perfect. I think because it's so rigid on the pastry, that's been its detriment. It's just too rigid. Oh, here we go. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Go away. Okay. It's cooling off pretty quick, actually. It really is. It's not quite as tasty anymore. Now, have we got any more messages? No, you guys have been enthralled in the pie. Oh, we've got one there. John Nuttall, sent to Coventry, have I? Hey, what? Oh, John, I missed you. Sorry, mate. No, you've not been sent to Coventry. My apologies. Lean the bike over. Bet that fault will show its face. I had one. Never found the fault on the stand. It turned out to be a battery issue. That is a possibility. This particular bike has got what we call a lean angle sensor, which is triggered at 65 degrees. Yes, we can do that. And I can also speak to the customer to ask him what he was doing at the moment that it happened. That would be interesting to find out. Was he going hard round a corner, or was he just riding on the straight? You know, what gear was he in? All that kind of stuff. John also says, have a happy Christmas. I'm sorry, have a happy Christmas, crew, and hit the like button. Thank you, John. Don't forget to hit the like button, people. Okay, this is going to be the last bite. This pie's taken quite a bit of, pie management to consume, to be fair. It's cooled down a lot now. And like I predicted, it's nowhere near as tasty when it's getting, even just warm. It's not as nice. Okay. Clean the bench. Get rid of that. Final scores. Bear with me. Just got to swallow that last bit of dry pastry. Okay. Structure Foley partners. It wasn't ideal, was it? Initially the lid wasn't glued down properly. Had to implement special techniques to work around that problem. And then the hard pastry on the top was causing the contents to ooze out. We had cracks developing in it. I had to hold the pie together when I was biting it down, when it was down to about a third its size. There was a bit going on. It's not going to score too well. Even though we didn't lose a lot of pastry and stuff, off the pie, it was only down to good pie management, I think. So, I think it's pretty bad. I think it should get a 4. I think a 4. Now you might think, Andy, a 4, really? Well, the other kind of pies that fall apart are the ones that are really, the pastry is way too soft, it's too thin. And we had one, the pie just turned to a pile of mush. Absolutely horrific, and I'm sure that scored a lot less than 4. So I think 4 is a fair score. Still tasty when cold. I don't think it would be. I mean, I don't mind cold meat. Don't get me wrong. I eat cold ham and cold chicken all the time. Even cold beef, cold pork. Love it. But no, not in that format, in that method of delivery with the sauce and the hard pastry. I would give it... I'm going to give it a 5. I think a 5 is fair. I don't think it'll taste horrendous cold, but it won't taste, it's lost a lot of its, I mean, what was it going before? 8. So it's gone from 8 to 5 as it's cooled down, hasn't it? Stuffability. Are you stuffed? Yes, I am. Are you overstuffed? A little bit, actually. It was quite a chomp, was that one. A lot more meat, a lot more filling. That, and I think maybe that hard, dry pastry has just, filled me up. So we've bounced off the maximum 10 and we're coming back down because I'm overstuffed. I will give it an 8, I think, for that. I think that's fair. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All the scores are in. Let's get it added up. Here we go. Turn around. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Okay. Sorry if things are going a bit slow this morning. That one took a bit of eating, to be fair. Okay, just going to drop you down. Now, I know the phone's going to go ballistic probably, but anyway, there we go. Okay, so we've got 12, 21, 30, 38, 45, 48, 53, 58, 67, 73, 81, 88. Okay, 88 is the score. Not a great score. For such an expensive pie, not a great score. For a number of reasons. Okay, let's have a wander around and see where 88 is going to get us on the leaderboard. 88. Well, the main column is up to 91 down there, look. So 88 maybe on this one here. Let's have a look. Oh, there we go. There's an 88. So 88. Bake Shack. See, Bake Shacks, you could almost buy 2 Bake Shack pies for the price of that one. Almost. Nearly. 1.5 at least. Number 8, you see, steak pie, 88. Oxford pie, steak and cheese. What else have we got? 89. Irving's bacon and egg. Yeah, I mean, it's playing with the... It's fallen... Oh, not going to work. It's fallen within the range of those budget pies. Not the crap pies, just the budget ones. And for $7.50, that's not going to work, is it? Damn. We'll have to get some more of these thingies. I keep meaning to go and find where the shop's moved to, but I haven't done it yet. So I just keep taking pictures. And I'll have loads to add on. I really will. Okay, right, we'll turn you around. Oh, hang on, there's somebody at the door. Bum, 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 bum. Who's at the door? Who's at the door? Hello? Oh, thanks, honey. Oh, parcel. Got a coffee, and yes, I've got to fix my door again. It's dying. Okay, so big question: would I buy another one of those pies? So I can be there studying Wild Bean Cafe, and I've got a choice of a Turducken Pie. Couldn't have named it any better, really, could you? For $7.50, or a gourmet steak and cheese. My go-to pie, or a gourmet steak, pepper steak, or a gourmet steak and cheese and jalapeno. All of those, you know, pretty much go-to. And those are $7.20. A little bit cheaper. Not quite as big, but pretty much guaranteed to get what you expect to get. Now, sure, that's the first one of those that I've had. I didn't know what to expect. But based on that one, the very dry pastry, very thick pastry around the top, and imagine the scenario, you know, when I pull into a petrol station, I order my coffee and I grab a pie and bits and pieces, and now I'm at that counter, right? So I pull out my work phone, stick it on the counter, flick it onto emails, and I start, you know, I'm holding the pie in one hand and I'm starting to answer emails. This is my world, right? So I'm busy firing through the emails because I can't do them while I'm driving, and lots more have come in since I was last stationary. So I work my way through the emails. My attention is not looking at my pie, trying to prevent things from falling off it and going on the counter and then making a mess that you've got to tidy up. You know, I don't leave the counter a mess when I leave, unlike some people. You know, I want to be focused on my emails, and the pie needs to be pretty much self-contained and look after itself. And that particular pie wouldn't really do that. I had to do a bit more work with that one. So, no, I don't think I'd buy another one. And my review, based on the pie that we had, has turned out to be quite different to Big Al's. I mean, what have we got as a percentage there? So, oh, there goes the lighter. God damn it. It's all happening today. So we've got calculator. We've got 88 divided by 130. Possible maximum score. Times 100. 68. Yeah, round it up. 68% we've given it. And Al gave it 73. So we're not too far off, really, are we? You know, only a 5%. Where's he gone? Oh, there he is. Hang on, bear with me. Under the bench with all the other bad things that are down there. Right. So, yeah, I'm looking at the contents of his, and actually it looks like there was quite a few voids in his pie. Ours wasn't like that. Ours was absolutely packed with meat, which was great. Thank you very much, Wild Bean Cafe. Really appreciate that. But you need to sort your shit out with the pastry on that pie. And it might just be, like I said before, it might just be that it's been in the pie warmer for way too long and just dried out. You know, maybe people are seeing the name Turducken and going, I don't want a pie that begins with turd. I was dubious, but I did it for you guys. Right? I bit the bullet, I took the plunge, took the jump, whatever it is, and we've done it. and we've scored it. And I won't be buying another one. Now, a couple more things. Bear with me. I know Mum watches the live stream, so hi Mum. Hope you're all good. Miss you as always. As you know, we received a parcel from the UK. Mum sent me a parcel. Thank you, Mum. And it got here pretty damn quick as well, actually. It was, what, a week, 10 days? It wasn't long. It was pretty record-breaking. It's a shame when you send parcels back to the UK from New Zealand, they take months to get there, usually. They're not as bad getting here, which is good. So thank you for sending that over. Everything in the parcel was extremely well packed. And I'm not going to show any of it on the live stream at the moment. There's some stuff in there that I have to, that's Christmas presents. So we'll do that as a Christmas live stream at some point. Yes, there will be a Christmas live stream for sure. There's gonna be, there has to be. Might be at a different time. I don't know. I'll let you know on a post or whatever. I might do an evening one. Just come out to the workshop and, you know, leave all the bikes in the workshop and just sit over there so you can't see all the bikes. Yeah, do it that way. We'll see. Might be some alcohol involved as well. Be nice, wouldn't it? So that's that one done. And then the second, really the last thing that I want to say, never the last thing that Andy's always got stuff to talk about, is the new video from Hoonigan. Now, if you haven't seen it yet, it's and the internet, or at least my feed on Facebook, has absolutely exploded with posts from lots of different automotive type platforms with little video snips of the video, lots of really cool photos and stuff. Travis Pastrana, I can't pronounce his name properly. Let's have a little look on here. So I'm just going to open up another window so I get everything right. I should have done this in advance. Andy's useless, I know. Hoonigan. The Gymkhana it's called, that's right. And it was all started by the famous Ken Block, the late Ken Block, an unbelievable guy. Yes, Pastrana, Travis Pastrana. So he's driving basically what looks like a Subaru Brat, a phenomenal little thing. We used to get them in the UK. I remember Easterby's used to have one, a little green Subaru pickup truck thing. Very, very cool. I think slightly different body shape to the original Brat. But essentially that really isn't a Brat. It's a tubular chassis vehicle that they've built to take the Brat body panels and dashboard and bits and pieces. But still, a phenomenal video. So if you've not yet seen that, it's definitely worth a watch. It's pretty damn cool the way they've done it. It's quite entertaining. There's a bit of comedy in it as well. And it's another nod to the late Ken Block. So definitely worth a watch, worth supporting them on that. Both myself and Mrs. Mechanic very much enjoyed watching that video when it came out. So thank you to the Hoonigan team for putting that together. Very, very cool. And Subaru, there's a bit more to it now. Subaru were the primary sponsor to that Hoonigan video. And there's a reason behind this, that certainly Subaru and maybe some other car manufacturers in other videos might start to come through as well. But Subaru have been incredibly smart. In Australia and around the world, UK as well, there's been a lot of restrictions placed on car advertising on mainstream TV, right? The cars can't be seen to be doing, sustained loss of traction, power slides, all this fun stuff isn't allowed on the videos anymore. For example, the old Hilux advert where the farmer's doing jumps and all sorts of this old Hilux, and it's brilliant to watch. You can't do that anymore. It won't pass the regulations to be allowed to be aired on TV. So that's why we're seeing these adverts of cars just cruising at a set speed down a motorway, and then it cuts to the picture of the engine and they talk about how if it's an EV, how efficient it is and all this kind of crap that none of us are really interested in. What we want to see is the car in action doing performance stuff, right? It doesn't have necessarily stupid stuff, But, you know, maybe the car in rally car format, doing a bit of a rally, you know, that kind of thing. You can't see that anymore on the adverts. So what Subaru have done is gone, well, we can't do that on the adverts anymore, but what we can do is we can sponsor and pay for the majority of the production of a YouTube video under the premise of Hoonigan, but it's still, you know, product placement. It's still a Subaru, and it's still strongly reinforcing the credibility of a Subaru, what it can and can't do, or what it can do in this case, and more. So they're sort of sidestepping the rules a little bit. Very, very cool to see. And if YouTube ever brought on the similar kind of restrictions, it would kill it overnight. And the world would change forever, you know. I mean, at least we've got this portal, and similar like Facebook and so on, where it can still go on, where you can see cars being driven properly, and bikes, trucks, whatever it is. They don't have to comply to these TV advert regulations. So cheers to Hoonigan. Good job, people. Really enjoyed that. Like I say, if you've not seen it, I strongly recommend you watch it. It's not a particularly long video. It's very funny. Travis does an amazing job. And the mannerisms, the acting side of it, and some of the stunts are unbelievable. And, you know, I hate watching movies that are full of CGI. Absolutely hate it. Jeez, he's a bit low, isn't he? Helicopter. I wonder if somebody's got hurt in the forest and they're going to airlift him out. There's a forest over that way, about half an hour drive. Maybe, who knows? But yeah, what was I saying? Yes, it's very, very cool. You got to watch it. But no, movies, CGI, you know, all the stunts, CGI stunts, it kills the movie for me. Everything you see in that Hoonigan video was done. I mean, sure, there'll be some stuff behind the scenes or out of camera shot that you don't see that maybe make the stunt possible. But in reality, if you'd been passenger in that little brat, you'd have shit yourself. I know I would. Unbelievable. Very, very cool. So again, thank you to the Hoonigan team. And if you've not seen it, please, you'll thank me for it. Please watch it. There's a previous one that I haven't yet seen that I'm going to watch at some point today, with probably at lunchtime. We'll have a late lunch today and we'll watch that one. It's just jaw-dropping, absolutely jaw-dropping. Oh, my little laptop is starting to play up at the moment. Now, where do we get to? Roger Heaps. Isn't there any way to data log an ROV computer? This is a motorcycle, and yes, there is. But in this particular case, it will not help. Need to go straight in with the scope. Obviously, I'll be checking for fault codes and stuff, but I'm pretty sure there won't be any based on the symptoms. Okay, but good call. And that will be my normal go-to. Is chuck basically the diagnostic tool on the bike, set it into logging mode, we call it, and go for a ride. Makes it more fun as well, doesn't it? You know. Now then, where do we get to? JJ. The valve seat replacements still a thing these days, and do you know anywhere in Auckland, New Zealand, to recommend this service? Yes, it is still a thing, especially with old car cylinder heads. I was watching a video actually recently on a Land Rover engine we built where they don't have valve seats. Right, it's cut straight into the casting, and that was in the era where leaded petrol was used. And here in New Zealand, the head was machined and hardened valve seats were fitted. Yes, there's engine specialities in Auckland. They do a lot of the engine machining work for a lot of the motorcycle dealerships in that area, and up north they'll ship things down for them to do it because they're very good at what they do. I've dealt with them now since I came to New Zealand some nearly 17 years ago. They know me by name, Andy Mechanic, so please do quote my name when you go in. Andy Mechanic sent me, and they will no doubt look after you. They are very, very good. They're not cheap, right? But you get what you pay for. You want quality? They're the guys to do it. And they're just on the North Shore. Engine specialities. Now then. Jim Haynes. Have an older friend has a two-stroke Suzuki 2000, 2000 year 250cc valve caps. Valve caps leaked oil on the exhaust. Oh, so the valve stem oil seals leaked oil onto the exhaust, caught fire and melted the stator and pickup wires. Got newer, oh sorry, you're right, valve caps. So the valve caps for doing the valve clearances. Wow. And the stator wires got new O-rings. Checked the valves, all okay. Started and ran after the fix. Caught fire, caught the oil on fire. That's pretty amazing, actually. I wonder if there was a bit of petrol content in the oil. I wonder if it's been overfueling a little bit. Take your daughter out for a meal to the Sherwood, Queenstown. If on shift, someone I know works there. Ah, okay, hang on then. I will be there for Tuesday night. So we will do that. We will go for some grub at the Sherwood. Oh, turn it around. Don't need selfies at the moment. Right then, there we go. Okay, thank you, Jim. I will check that out. It's always good to have a new venue to go and explore. Although I usually end up in Pogmahomes, and that always ends in a very late night and a very difficult following morning. Jim Haynes would not rev up. Ah, okay. Check the intake and exhaust, all good, and spark was good. Fuel line's good and pumped good. Check the carb, seemed to be good, and leaned it with a leak. Didn't care, sprayed with a leak. Didn't care, sprayed fuel spray to Richon. So what was causing it to not rev up then? JJ, thanks for that. No problem, matey. Jim Haynes. Oh, here we go. Finally check everything again. Wires good, all checked. Charging voltage way too high at 19 volts. Unplug the stator wires and all good. Change the regulator and now all normal. Strange one, but a tip. So did the stator wires get damaged by the fire? And if so, it could have shorted the stator and caused it to put a... Well, you changed the regulator, didn't you? So the regulator had failed. So maybe that fire had caused an internal fault with the regulator then, causing it to overcharge. But yeah, overcharging, if it had been a more modern fuel-injected bike, then often you'll get fault codes when overcharging occurs, so you'd have picked up on that. Ah, cool. Thanks, Jim. Interesting stuff, isn't it? Diagnosis. Sometimes it's the thing you least expect. Oh, lastly, one last thing before I go. I nearly forgot. So whilst we were on the Waiheke Island for our staff Christmas trip, we were all given Christmas gifts and always look forward to the Christmas gifts at our particular Christmas parties because, I mean, I've got a barbecue out there, one of those really nice, what are they called? The really nice ones anyway, expensive, right? Big expensive Weller barbecues on a stand, brilliant. You know, worth a fair chunk of money. It was the main prize, and it was a raffle kind of prize. So I was very happy to win that. That was a few years ago. And this year, we got a bar of chocolate. Look at that. Coconut Rough. And it was a very hot day. So the bar of chocolate has essentially melted into a liquid and is now contained inside this packet. I did put it in the fridge to harden it up. But just want to shout out to the bosses. Thank you very much for my bar of chocolate. I really, really appreciate it. Okay. Enough on that. Okay, crew. Well, there you go. Great fun. We've done another live stream. We're way over time as always. Will it be, what are we on now? We're on the 14th, 28th. So the next live stream will be would normally be after Christmas, between Christmas and New Year, 28th of December. I'll do one probably Christmas Day or somewhere around that time. Not too sure when I'm going to fit it in, but it will happen. And I'll do a notification on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube I'll do a post to let you know when that one's going to happen. But until then, don't get too overwhelmed by the whole Christmas festive holiday season stuff. Don't get drawn into all those adverts that go on TV where you've got to spend all this money and buy all these things, because it really is just a rat race. It's just a commercial bomb that hits. Try and think about what Christmas is all about. Family, being together, that quality time. It's not about the gifts. It's about just being together. Okay, crew, take care of yourselves. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.